Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by Bronx. This is Tarot Talk. These are Tarot Tings, and I'm your host, Boogie Down Bronx. And I'm here to take care of everybody for human design. All right, I've been trying to get this video done all week, but I have been so busy. I'm hosting Thanksgiving at my house. I've been tired, you know. I just finished up all 12 signs for the November monthly, so I was taking a break, and I will be taking a break the rest of this week to just chill and live my life. But in the meantime, I wanted to post this human design content because, this channel's for not just tarot, but also astrology and human design. So with this video, it is going to be probably a two-parter. I think I'm going to try to cover manifesting generator, manifestor, and generator because they all kind of correlate together. And then I will do a separate video for projectors and reflectors because those two types are more similar. All right, so this is how to start or end a relationship based off of your human design type. It's very, very, very important that you start a relationship correctly because it will save you a lot of time, energy, frustration, anger, all of that down the road if you know what to look for, if you know how to start correctly for your type. And it does matter. It does depend on your type. All right. So the first thing is we're going to talk about manifesting generator first because that's the one I want to do. All right. And I have my notes here. I'm looking at my phone. Okay. So manifesting generator, if you haven't seen my video on what a manifesting generator is, it's basically a hybrid between the manifestor and the generator type, but you are more so a generator, or you are a generator first, okay? For others of you, you can have a lot more manifestor qualities depending on your chart. So go back and look at that video in the playlist. But you are a generator first, period. You have to wait for something to respond to, period. You have to follow the generator strategy first, period, okay? So with that being said, right, you're a manifesting generator. You have to wait to respond. And I made a whole video on what that means as well. So I'm not going to be talking about too much of the strategy and authority and all of that in this video. This is just straight to the point. So if you need to go back and look at, okay, what's a manifesting generator? What's a generator? What is wait to respond? What's the strategy? Watch that first and then come back to this video and it will make sense. All right. But if you're following your strategy, let's say that you are like, okay, how do I date if I have to wait to respond? How do I make friends? How do I do anything? It's really not as like logical, and you don't have to think about it as much as you think you do. But you're basically waiting for something to prompt you to act, right? So let's say you have a crush on somebody, or like maybe you see somebody online, right? You're like, oh, they're attractive. Should I shoot my shot? You think that's to yourself or something. And like, it would be you initiating if you just see them and then you shoot your shot right then and there. It may not go exactly the way you want, but if you wait to respond, like you get the idea, right? I'm going to shoot my shot. That's your idea in your head. That's something that popped in your head, but nothing outside of you prompted that. So some type of prompt would be a conversation that you had with somebody. If somebody's like, you should try to talk to them, or like you see them post something or an opportunity that comes up that you could talk to them, or you could comment on a picture, or you could do something that, puts that signal out there, and you see how they respond to that. So then it's kind of like a back and forth thing. And because you're a manifesting generator, you only need like one real green light before you can take off into your manifestor aura of initiating and, informing, hey, I'm interested in you, or I'm interested in getting to know you better. I'm looking for a friendship, or I'm interested in looking for like romantic, whatever. But it's important that you first wait for your cue to spark a conversation, and this can be a little bit more challenging actually in person because it's like, okay, what am I waiting for in person? But you can kind of wait for the same thing, or, you can still just like say hi and like, I like your shoes, or I like your outfit or something. And then you can still prompt a conversation in that way, So it just depends on the situation, but you want to like wait for something to spark a reason why you want to talk to somebody, not just, oh, I think they're attractive, but something that can have a substance of a conversation, right? So, but directness is very much key. right? So like I have different manifesting generators in my life, and I have like one main manifesting generator that the way we met was just so funny. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it was one of those things where you have to be really direct because people cannot read your aura because you have a manifestor quality. The manifesting generator aura is also, it's like half and half. So it's like on one part you have the generator aura, which is like, magnetic and, drawing into people. And then the other one is like closed and repelling, which is the manifestor. So, like I really couldn't tell what their intentions were with me. I didn't know like what they really wanted. I could not read the energy. And afterwards I was like, oh, that makes sense. You're a manifesting generator. I have no idea what you want from me. So whenever you do reach out to somebody or you shoot your shot or you're trying to start something, you need to be very direct. You need to be like saying what it is you're looking for, because other people cannot read your aura. We cannot read your energy as clearly as you think we can. We cannot read your mind. You have to be very straightforward with your intentions, even if you're a woman or, feminine presenting person. You have to take a more masculine approach after you get like something to respond to. Like after you get that signal, you are often going to take on the more like masculine role of initiating the relationship from that point forward. Okay. So that's really what you need to look out for starting a relationship if you're a manifesting generator. And I'm about to go into ending it. So main thing first, wait to respond. Wait for there to be a reason why you start the relationship or why you're starting up the conversation. Then be very direct. It's called informing. It's a part of your strategy. So manifesting generator is wait to respond, then inform and initiate. So you're doing that in an order. Looks like you're waiting for a cue to say something to somebody or express interest of whatever dynamic. It could be anything, like any little thing that gives you that go ahead to do it. And then you go and inform them like, I'm interested in a friendship, or I want to work with you, or I want a romantic, whatever. That's you telling them, being upfront, this is my intentions, right? And then from there, obviously you initiate it. But even before all that, I left out a very important key is to make sure you're excited, right? Make sure you're really excited about it, because your generator energy, generators thrive on excitement, and that's how we get to satisfaction. So if you're really not that excited about it, you're just like, oh, I just want to see if I can do it. No, wait for it to be somebody you're really, really excited to talk to or really passionate about to then, something sparks a conversation with you and that person. Okay. So that's what you have to do. Now for ending a relationship for a manifesting generator, it's the same concept. You still need to wait to respond. Okay, you need something to prompt you to leave that relationship, and then you inform the person and initiate. Okay, but even before that, you want to make sure you are informing along the way of any relationship dynamic, because a lot of times manifesting generators, you just move very quickly. You don't always stop and think, okay, do I need to tell somebody this or that, or maybe I need to be more clear with my expectations or my boundaries or whatever. Because again, remember, people cannot read your aura. They don't always know what you need, what you're thinking. So make sure you're informing along the way, like, hey, can we change this? I would prefer more of that, less of this. I'm frustrated. I'm this, I'm that, right? So you often can skip steps in relationships. Like you'll skip to like halfway point of relationship. You skip like a lot of key building in the beginning. You skip a lot of getting to know people phase. You skip a lot of like setting boundaries phase. So you got to go back and do that. Like before you leave the relationship, ask yourself, have I been informing this person along the way of telling them my likes, my dislikes, or have I just been kind of keeping it to myself, or just moving quickly, just getting caught up in the moment, getting caught up in the excitement, the honeymoon phase, all that, right? So make sure you're doing that as well before you leave. Now, if you've done all that, you've said everything several times, and you're just, I'm like over it, then that is your time. You wait for something to respond to that sparks you to then leave the relationship. Or you can even tell somebody like, I'm thinking about leaving this relationship. That's informing somebody. And if they don't get their act together, next time they do something, which if it's a pattern, it won't take long for you to see that come up, something to respond to leave, or something that like validates your reasoning for leaving, then you can leave. Unless it's something very dangerous or abusive or like, something very harmful or toxic to you, and you can get out of there as soon as you want to. Never stay in anything, no matter what your sign, your type, if it's a bad environment. But some signs to leave a relationship are anger, frustration, feeling controlled, not excited, and not satisfied in the relationship. Okay. But like as soon as that excitement is gone, and as soon as that frustration is just mostly present all the time, that's likely your sign to leave. Okay. So that's what that looks like for manifesting generators starting and ending a relationship. Now, going into manifestor and generator is basically the same things, because it's just I combine those two. But for manifestor, you take away the generator part. For just generators, you take away the manifestor part. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but we'll still break it down. All right. So manifestors, for you starting a relationship, it is very similar to MG, but you do not need to wait to respond to anything outside of yourself. Okay. Only if you have emotional authority, you're waiting for some inner dialogue, some inner guidance. You're waiting for your emotions to calm down and for you to feel neutral. And I explain emotional authority in another video, okay? So you can go back and watch that if you need more clarity on emotional authority, as well as in the authority series. But yeah, you have to be the initiator, the aggressor, the domineering force of the relationship. All right. You are meant to take a very proactive approach in all your relationships and how they move forward. You are not somebody that is supposed to be submissive. You're not supposed to wait for other people to initiate relationships with you or approach you too much. You want to be the one that starts or reaches out or, goes forward in that. All right. So if your relationships are not moving, or you just feel like you're not really meeting people, it's because you're playing it too safe or too small in some way, or you're not using your strategy of initiating and informing upon meeting people with your true wants and needs. So again, your strategy is to inform and initiate. So whenever you see something you really like or you really want, or you see somebody that you feel like you'd be good with to some capacity, you go up to them, inform them like, I'm interested in whatever. You be very clear, very, very honest with that. All right. Don't hold back at all, because you will either magnetize people. People will be very like, in awe of you and very like impressed by your, assertion, or they will be very repelled. Okay. And so repelling people is not anything to take personally. It's not anything to feel like, oh, I'm not doing something right. It means you're doing something right, actually. If you're not repelling anybody, that means that you're not really living in your truest manifestor potential. It means you're not going to feel that peace you're looking for. You're not going to get to your signature theme of peace. You're just going to always be feeling like angry, or like you're not really where you're at in your life, or you're not really getting what you want, because you are meant to take big risks and stuff like that. You're able to. That's just what your energy can do. You can take bigger risks. You don't have to wait on anybody else. So, for a lot of you, this may seem scary if it's something you're not used to. But the more you practice, the more you'll get used to like getting more of what you want if you speak, intentionally. Because your throat, that's where all your manifesting abilities come from. So the more you speak about what you want from people, the more likely you are to get it, versus you just think it in your head or you don't really say it up front. You're not going to manifest it. Okay. Or you're not going to manifest it fast. Okay. Do not chase anybody that you repel. Now, the hard thing about being a manifestor is that you will repel people that you like, that you love, that you feel like they would be more active or more supportive or more present or more accepting. So a lot of manifestor energy repel their family. I see that all the time. Their family, you can repel your friends even sometimes. People that you take it to heart. It's different if you're repelling strangers because there's no strings attached. But when you are like putting off, or people are not really on board with you, that you have an emotional connection to, it can be very devastating. So, but don't chase those people, because you're going to end up more angry. You're going to end up feeling like you're just wasting your time. You're people pleasing. So initiate or inform others of what they can initiate with you. This is a big one. This is a really big one for manifestor energy, because a lot of you guys, you end up feeling very controlled in your relationships. You end up feeling like suffocated. You end up feeling like people don't respect you, or they're trying to do something to undermine you and what you do. So when you get into relationships, or you start a relationship with somebody new, friendship, family, whatever, let them know what roles they have with you. Like let them know what feels right for you. Like, you may have certain things that you just prefer to take the lead on most of the time. And you have certain things that you prefer people not get involved with unless you say so, or, not ask about, or not dabble into, set that boundary really, really clearly, or be like, you can help me with this, or I would appreciate advice with this, or whenever I need help with this. Say those things, especially if you're dealing with a projector, because they have to be invited to help you. So you may feel like your projectors are being very pushy, or they're just giving you unsolicited advice, but you have to invite them and tell them what it is that they can help you with, because if you don't, they'll feel very unseen and unrecognized and ignored. And so that's a whole other thing, because they'll be just giving you advice. If you never say not to, they're not going to know. So, that's for another series of like compatibility. But yeah, let people know what they can initiate with you. Give them permission to, or not, right? So, lastly here, for ending a relationship if you're a manifestor, the signs you want to look out for if it's time to leave are anger. It's not bringing you peace. You feel controlled. And again, like I was telling MG, you want to really consider, have you been informing the other person along the way? Or have you just expected them to just get it? Because if you're not informing along the way, or you don't start off with informing, of being very clear about what it is you want, you need, what you like, what you don't like along the way, you're going to get to a place where you're just angry and you just end up leaving the relationship. But that's not fair, because you never told anybody what it is you liked or don't like. But if you did tell them and they're just not respecting it, then it's likely that relationship is not for you at all. But it's important to try not to end a relationship without informing somebody of why you're ending the relationship, okay? So let somebody know why you're leaving, because it can decrease the resistance in doing so. Or you tell somebody you're going to leave, right? Or you're going to quit your job, or you're going to move across the country. You're going to like break the lease, whatever it is. Because a lot of manifestors just are used to moving on their own quickly, not really thinking about anybody else. But when it comes down to partnerships, you do have to consider other people, or even group relationships. You have to consider how it affects other people, because anything a manifestor does, as well as a manifesting generator does, it affects more people than you think. It's a ripple effect. It really does impact people strongly. So your presence leaves a huge impact, and your absence leaves a huge impact as well. So if you don't want any resistance in leaving a situation, or you want to just be able to make a clean exit, you need to let people know what you're doing. You need to let people know you're leaving. You're going to leave. It just helps. Trust me. It does, because you get a lot more backlash. It's not going to be such a clean transition as you anticipate if you don't give people a heads up, or you don't inform them if there's anything else that they can do on their part to help, or support you, or make the relationship better. So you guys think that people don't care a lot of the time, and you like nobody cares anyway, so I'm just gonna leave. But you'd be surprised, the more that you inform people, the more you will find people that actually do care, do support, are on the same page, think like you. But people cannot be on the same page as you if they cannot find the book. All right, you got to show them, like, oh, the book was behind my back the whole time, but this is what chapter we're on. Give people a chance, okay? I know, like, a lot of manifestors, they grew up in an environment where they don't feel safe to inform because they never had a safety net of family or caregivers to allow them to do that. When they tried in the past, they felt like people were stealing from them, or like trying to control them or belittling them. So you keep that guard up. But you're really only informing the more important parts that you know are necessary. Okay. And like, it's trial and error to see who you should be informing, who you should not be informing. As soon as you get a repelling effect from somebody you inform something about, you stay over there. You stay over there. You come closer. That's how you do the manifestor strategy. It's trial and error. You gotta try it out. Okay. But after you do all that, you inform, you initiate the ending, you're done. All right. When you're done, you're done. So for manifestor and manifesting generator, people cannot read your mind. So don't expect them to. They don't know what you want. They don't know what you're thinking. It's not obvious. Trust me, it's not. Closed mouths do not get fed. Speak up and be direct. You have to be direct from start to finish about everything you want, everything you need, what you're looking for, what you're not looking for, what you like, what you don't like. Overly direct, overly assertive, more than you think you're being. You're not being as assertive as you think. And if somebody can't do what you need, don't fight that. Don't chase it. Just inform them that this is not going to work, and then you leave. Okay? That's it. You don't have to do too much. You do not have to do too much. All right? So, with that being said, the last one we're going to go over is generators. So, generators, kind of like MG in the beginning, you are waiting for that prompt. You're waiting for something to prompt you into talking to somebody, to initiating a relationship with somebody, into having a conversation with somebody. Excuse me. So it also helps if you wait for other people to come to you. Like, for example, if you're on dating sites, you can like see things that are exciting or people that are exciting. You can swipe on them, And then like if you match, that is kind of something you can respond to, because it's like, oh, that's something outside of you. You matched. And so then you can start a conversation about whatever, like, hey, or I like your picture, or whatever. So you're waiting on that prompt, okay? Wait for something to prompt you into initiating, or it's a very clear green light. So we do have to wait a little bit more than others, similar to projector, before initiating. But yeah, if it's online, you can like pictures, you can like even comment on pictures. But if there's no like green light of like jumping into somebody's DMs, I would not recommend doing that. Okay. Unless they directly say, people come into my DMs. I don't think it would work out, or it would just be, it wouldn't really go anywhere, But yeah, make sure you're excited about that. Make sure you're excited to reach out to the person, or you're excited to talk to the person, because if it's just out of convenience, or it's just out of like, maybe I should try to connect with this person, or maybe I should try to collab, but you're not really feeling that jolt of really excitement, don't do that. Okay, do not do it. It's just going to lead to frustration. It is. It's just going to be like, it's just a convenience thing, So for ending a relationship for a generator, ending it can be tricky because you have to wait for a prompt to leave. And that's anything, a business, a friendship, anything like that, So, I've had to use my strategy and authority to leave friendships before, where it's like I was already thinking about leaving, or I was already thinking about separating myself, and I started to get distant. And so, as a generator, just pure generator, I don't have to necessarily inform as much. So like I might get distant And like people will come to me and ask, hey, why are you being distant? Or they'll prompt me into talking about that, right? I usually try not to, but I will wait for a prompt to even have the conversation about what is bothering me as well. So I'm always actively trying to wait for a prompt to have a conversation, wait for a prompt to start, wait for a prompt to stop. So it's kind of like when there's an altercation or there's something bothering me, either I'll wait for the person to ask me what's wrong, or what's going on, or I will wait for something to prompt me into having that conversation, like something I read, or maybe another conversation I have with somebody else. If I'm asking them for advice and they're like, oh, you should talk to them, that's a prompt, that came from outside of me. And I'll also wait for me to feel emotionally neutral because I'm emotional authority. So I don't want to do anything while I'm too high emotion, right? So I'm waiting for that prompt to either talk to the person or to leave the relationship. Usually, if I'm waiting on something to leave, it's like I see a pattern of somebody doing something several times, and I'll wait for that thing to come up again, and then I will address it in that moment. But if I already made up my mind, I'll be like, this is something that I've noticed is recurring, and or I brought it up before. It's not changed, so I'm going to leave this relationship, whatever. So you don't want to leave just because of your own frustration without a prompt. Like you can there's nothing going on really, but you're just like, I'm just going to leave this relationship. That is not always the best exit. It just doesn't work cleanly, because when you have a reason for sure, like a sure-proof reason, like you just feel better about it. You don't double back most of the time because you're like, okay, like if you don't, you're like, did I make the right choice? Did I leave at the right time? It's like a lot of overthinking. But if you wait for something to tell you, okay, that's really my sign, the sign will come. Like I said before, unless it's dangerous, then get out of there. But other people can prompt you out of a relationship, right? They're like, hey, I think you should leave. I think you should let that person go. I don't think that's right for you. You should leave that job. Something you can respond to. It will come. It will come, especially if you've been complaining about it or you're frustrated about it. Something will come up and prompt you to get out. Then you can go. Okay. So signs that it's time to let go. And this can apply for the other types too. You're frustrated. You're burnt out. You're not excited. You feel like you're forcing it, or not an equal exchange of energy. And you are not satisfied in the relationship, okay? So that is for those 3 types, what you need to do to start a relationship and what you need to do to end a relationship. I hope that this helps. Thank you guys for watching. Have a really happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you soon. We're almost at 150K on here. I'm so excited. When I do reach it, we're going to do a live stream, okay? And I'll do some personal readings, some tipped personal readings for you guys. Follow me on TikTok as well, Tarot by Bronx. All right, thank you guys. I'm a Tarot by Bronx on everything.